Okay.
start
Let's
afresh.
quickly take another call from Just. Oh, we lost the call. Miriam, your question.
Okay, so I have this question, which is almost like a follow-up question to the one Yeni asked you. And for me, it's that what really makes a party? Is it a personality, as we've seen so far with Labour Party? It was almost, you know, a really quiet, small party, and all of a sudden, we have their flag bearer, and it's a big and that party has now become one of the major oppositions or big contender in the coming elections. Then we have an SDP. Many of us knew SDP. We all grew up on that party, the Abiola party. And all of a sudden, it just seems that we hear very little of that party. So yes, it's established, it may have structure, but it's not front-facing, it's not in our faces. What really makes a political party?
What makes a political party is a vision of the country. That people come together, they have a vision of the country. Nigeria should be like this, you attain this level of, we must eradicate poverty, we must build a social structure, we must build justice. So these ideas bring us together. That's what makes a political party. What you are having now in the other party you mentioned is not a political party, it's a campaign organization. In which case, if I go and get King Sunny Ade to run for governor of Ondo State, and I get Davido to run for governor of Osun State, and I get Ali Baba to run for president, so automatically these names are already made. And I will make splash everywhere. At the end of the day, you may not do as well as you should, because the nitty-gritty of politics is that there are places across the country, about 5,500 voting blocks in the country, and they are in silos, and they vote according to local issues. So you can't go to Genya, where they have not seen road for a long time. When I was in Mubi, they were not talking about these issues. They were talking about Boko Haram occupied this palace, where you are sitting down, you are eating together. So we don't want it to happen. They are talking. They are more interested in my relationship with Cameroon, because they get water from Cameroon, radio from Cameroon, than what's happening in Lagos. So you have to go around the country and understand. So if you are in the river, I went to Focados the other time, they don't know that Nigeria exists. In Focados, they know about Angola, other countries around them, Sao Tome and Principe. So you need to understand that this is how the country is. So for us as a political party, it's the idea. And that idea, if it's an escape from the party into the mind of the people, people will follow that idea. And you have to be patient. You have to be consistent.
Let me take a call, another call. Bob from Jos. Good morning, Bob.
Just people.
A call before I come to Nima. Yeah. Richard from Enugu. Good morning, Richard.
Good morning, ladies. Good morning to your guests. Fantastic conversation, and I'm liking everything I'm hearing this morning. So, two questions. Number one, for your guest, if you are elected president, we have a huge debt profile now. How will you resolve that debt? What is how are you going to resolve? As in, either are you going to how do you intend to pay it off, or I don't know what you want, what your idea or what your plan for that is. Then second question, and lastly, should you not win, in case you don't win, because you sound like a very intelligent person, will you be willing to play a part in the government that wins if you are invited on board? Thank you, because we need people like you to be in government. Yeah. Thank you.
Amazing question, Richard.
Okay, briefly. One, the debt profile I've discussed about it. Let me just tell you. Most of the debt thing, it's just actually not serious. The problem in Nigeria is not the debt. The problem in Nigeria is the wastage. Majority of the revenue is not captured. For example, if you put out, like this year, they did a budget of 20 trillion, which is nonsensical for 200 million people. It doesn't make sense per capita. But it's because majority of government revenue doesn't reach the government. So if you are losing $4 billion on average, because they are stealing your crude, that's money that's supposed to come. So you have a 10 trillion deficit, so why should you have it? Overflight money is being shared by the aviation minister and his friends. Companies are supposed to pay taxes, are not paying taxes. So in a country that has a 20 trillion budget this year, in reality, it's about 17.5, but they say it's 20. Let's agree it's 20. Now, they are 10.5 is debt. But the waivers that they've signed for their friends, who are about 11 or 12 people, is 16 trillion. Yeah. So if you sign 16 trillion, and then they will not lie and say, they are doing Osho, their Papa way, they are doing this way. So they are not capturing revenue. So when we come in, we'll capture the revenue, you realize that the debt is not that difficult.
Sorted.
Yes, very easily. Right. Serving in government is if they want to be a government. If you cannot join a looting gang, you just ruin yourself for nothing. Yeah. So what you want to do is to see who wins. Does he want to run a government? So you can go in there, maybe 3 days, you resign. When you discover the first crime they want to commit, you say, I'm done. You leave them. But if they are a serious government, even before now, there's no government that cannot say, I've not tried to help them. I've been helping them, talking to them. I've met every president. So when I discover that you don't have the courage to take a decision, I'll leave you. So the problem is not that, Nigerian problem is not that complex. The complication in how we recruit leadership, the complication is not because it's about doing favors. This person is finance minister, doesn't know how to do simple arithmetic. It's because the person who gave you the largest amount of money has been given that estate to nominate somebody. Somebody is defense minister. He was even sacked from the services. He's doing well. So you use these positions that are supposed to use to protect the assets and the people to compensate those who put you there. And most of the story, that's why you see when they discuss, they say, I help him. I help him.
That's my person.
That's how they do it. So the government is not like that. Government, you manage resources.
Sir,
you get the
by putting me as the finance minister.
Yes.
That's, which arithmetic? Yes. That's the end of the... We will not know where the money is missing from.
My brother has a song. You can't eat with corruption, chop with corruption, then corruption will help you get there, and then you just...
Mrs. Ladiji from Jos. Good morning, Mrs. Ladiji.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Good morning to your guest. Please, hello?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yes. Good morning, all. The question I will ask your guest is, this very large governance and wasteful governance with the fast allowances that they don't ever need to be done, what are you going to do about it if you become the president? Because we are wasting so much money on governance and it's not necessary. Please, just tell us, maybe you want to win our vote. Let us know what you can do because we need to cut down on this. This is the biggest waste in Nigeria. It is the biggest waste. If everything can calm down, I think...
3 things we can do. One, we need to know the difference between cost of governance and cost of corruption. There are a lot of governance spaces in Nigeria. So what we call cost of governance is actually cost of corruption. Cost of governance would be, for example, if we are spending too much money on paying policemen, if they are overpaid. If we are spending too much money on giving food to people who are earning money. In England, they talk about it all the time. Should we spend so much money to feed the poor and all that? That's cost of governance. Ours is cost of corruption. And the cost of corruption is in 2 ways. One, the allowances and all this they are collecting, they don't deserve them. But that's not the corruption. The real corruption is that even the senators are contractors. So many of the projects that they approve in the budget, they are the ones who follow it. They collect money for inviting people to appear before them. If you don't pay them, they embarrass you. If you pay them, they bury the file. Wow. And they say, switch off the mic. So things like that. So there are a lot of costs. But the leadership, you have to have a president who has nothing to hide. And you have to have a president who is conscious of the entire picture of what's going on. The least powerful person in government today is the president. So it's just like a prisoner in a gilded cage. So you need to have a leader who is able to do that. There are people who work in the State House today who have been there since 1999. We change party here and there, they are there because they are representing entrenched interests. So the Nigerian people have to decide. You have to take a risk. You have to say, what do you have to lose? You have to do something radical. And the easiest way for you to say, anybody who has been there before, you know what? I don't like what the outcome. Just go away. Let's start afresh. After all, we have been using the people who say they are experienced. We're experiencing the same repetition. Anybody who has been in government before, just leave them.
Okay.
Start afresh.
Let's quickly take another call from Just. Oh, we lost the call. Miriam, your question.
Okay. So I have this question, which is almost like a follow-up question to the one Yeni asked you. And for me, it's that what really makes a party? Is it a personality, as we've seen so far with Labour Party? It was almost, a really quiet, small party. And all of a sudden, we have their flag bearer and it's a big and that party has now become one of the major oppositions or big contender in the coming elections. Then we have an SDP. Many of us knew SDP. We all grew